So, ladies and gentlemen, you may have seen this video where Twitch leadership was getting absolutely spit roasted in the comments because they're all a bunch of pasty white leftists. Either they're fat women who are in their 40s and 50s, or they're a bunch of emaciated soy-based looking weirdos. Well, Dr. Disrespect, the two-time, the back-to-back, he decided to weigh in. And so the comment was, "This is hilarious. All I see is a bunch of cornballs at Twitch that have no clue." And the doc says, "It's been like this for years." Let's watch.
All right. Well, hold on. I have an announcement to make. So, first of all,
hello.
Hold on. I want to tell you, this is our leadership team. I have an announcement to make to y'all.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Yes,
I brought Emily here.
Thank you.
Okay, because I wanted to announce something. I've decided that I need to leave Twitch, and Emily is now the CEO. Okay.
A bunch of old white women, a bunch of Karens, a bunch of hags, and then a man who visibly has no jawline. This guy that looks like just this low testosterone weirdo. It's literally just a bunch of old women. And it starts to make sense why they love Hasan. Because they're like, "Yeah, Hasan, he's so attractive. He's such a bad boy when he, endorses terrorists. We really like Hasan." It's why they don't like Tectone or Asmongold. They're like, "Yeah, these guys don't really do it for me. They make me feel uncomfortable, and I don't like the way that they talk, and I'm triggered by that." Yeah, it makes total sense. It makes total sense, the current state of Twitch, with this one video.
So now Emily, as the CEO, as the new CEO,
I'm gonna ban Hasan. No. Yeah. So this is extra Emily's perspective, and it's a joke. Obviously, they're just having a bit of fun. But this clip is more devastating to Twitch than anything that I've seen from a long time. Revealing the inner workings of this company and who is at the upper echelon, it reveals so much. It reveals so much. And the fact of the matter is that Twitch as a platform is run by a bunch of old Karens and a bunch of soy-based communist weirdos who support and endorse Hasan terrorist supporter Piker.
you need to tell your leadership team what you think they need to do in the next year.
What?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well,
Actually, wait. You should meet your leadership team first.
Yes, I would love to.
As
That
the
would
new
sound great.
CEO, you should know who your leadership team is.
Of course,
So why don't you flip it around, and we can go
Yes.
around, and each one will introduce themselves and what they do.
I love it.
This is the gayest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is so stupid. I don't know what they were attempting to accomplish. But first of all, putting extra Emily in charge of your company. Like, extra Emily has different traits and things that she could be used for. I don't mean that in some sort of sexual innuendo way. I mean, obviously, you take one look at her and you realize that she's Asian and she's cute. Yeah, she's a fairly good-looking girl. And you hear her talk and she can have that like high-pitched, bubbly personality. There are definitely things that you could use her for in your marketing and in your presentation that I think would bring in a clientele that, the people that table may hate, but would get extra eyeballs on your content. There's no doubt that putting her in a video is going to attract more people to view and more people to donate. It's just an observable fact and a reality. However, you would never put somebody like her in charge. That's not an insult. It's just a basic observation. Now, they're not really putting her in charge. It's a joke. But the real joke here is not that they're having like this interaction and haha, it's funny. The real joke is that Dan Clancy is such a pussified freak that he's willing to put on this performance humiliating himself when the Twitch brand, what it needs right now is to get all those women out of the room and to replace them with some actual gamers. Let me ask you something. This fat chick with the short hair, do you think this chick plays games? Do you think she sits there and, is really, really interested in video games, that she's like playing Call of Duty and stuff like that? This guy right here, do you think he plays games? None of these people look like gamers. If I were to show you this picture and you didn't know it was Twitch, would you think this was a gaming company? Would you think that this was a company that had a monopoly on the market around gaming? The answer is no. You need testosterone in that room. You need masculinity. You need men that have the drive to push things forward, not an HR department, a bunch of women who, the most important decision I have to make today is what kind of coffee do I want in the morning? You need some balls, Dan Clancy. You don't have any, but you need people that do. And ironically, I imagine that Extra Emily probably does have more balls than you. The guy who sings happy birthday to Hassan Piker.
He is now the CEO. Okay.
Look at this. This is Twitch. This is Twitch. And so if you want to know why this company and this brand is dying, this video is everything. There's not an ounce of testosterone in the room, which is probably why they hate Tectone as much as they do. It's probably why they hate Asmongold as much as they do. Because while Asmongold may not be what you would consider traditionally masculine in terms of his physique, but it's his rhetoric and his language that I agree with wholeheartedly, that these women have an issue with. And Hassan, these menopausal women look at Hassan, he's very attractive, and he says all the right politics that I like. It's so disgusting to think about that these menopausal women are like gooning to Hassan. The Twitch upper echelon are a bunch of gooners to Hassan. They're not gamers. It doesn't look like they're gamers. I'd be very interested to see what their gaming credentials are, or what the gaming credentials of anyone in this room are. But these are not trendsetters. These are people that are like in middle management, HR department, just having a job to have a job, collecting a paycheck, not trying to innovate, not trying to push forward. And that's why Kick is eating their lunch. Because you can say whatever you want about Kick, but Kick has people behind it with balls and an ounce of testosterone. And that really is the difference maker. When you have a council of Karens that are in charge of the Twitch platform and they're making arbitrary decisions based on how they feel. Oh, Tectone called Frogan fat. Well, I'm fat. That makes me feel bad. Frogan said that American soldiers should have PTSD. Well, I don't really like the military, so I don't really find a problem with that. You don't think that any of these fat women, any of these menopausal women, these old women, you don't think that they took it personal when Tectone called Frogan fat? He called a woman fat? What a misogynist. You don't think that's the case? Absolutely it is. And by the way, the moderation team and the teams at Twitch are all filled with people like this. It's why when Tectone is told, hey, we're going to reverse your ban, they end up not reversing the ban because there's no coordination. It's just a bunch of people collecting a paycheck with different political opinions because the person at the top, the leader, Dan Clancy, is a very, very, very weak man. And it's up to the doc, who is banned by these freaks. And by the way, let me just say, I don't believe the allegations against Dr. Disrespect. I know that people go, but he admitted it, but he didn't. And you know he didn't. He was accused of sexually explicit text messages and trying to meet up with an underage girl at TwitchCon. That was proven to be a lie in a court of law. Like, can we be real here? Dr. Disrespect won his lawsuit against Twitch. Can we be real here? You want to still play these games? Oh, Dr. Disrespect is a pedophile. Because he said he did something inappropriate. That inappropriate thing that he did. I have no doubt that there was somebody that he was talking to that he shouldn't have. I understand that there's an impulse. There's this thing within human beings that you want something that's forbidden. I don't think that he was sexting with this person. And the reason why I don't think he was sexting with a person who was underage is because he went to court. And let me tell you something about the California court. Even though it was a civil case between Dr. Disrespect and Twitch, let me tell you something. This is a bit of an aside, but let me tell you something about the court system in California. A lot of those people are Democrats. They are slimy, spineless, soulless opportunists. Take a look at Kamala Harris, who sucked a dick all the way to the top. The fact is that if any prosecutor saw that there was even a whiff of a case where they could take on a high-profile streamer, and he could be put away for sexting a minor, that's the type of thing those people dream of. They dream of children getting brutalized so they can have that sort of career opportunity. If you don't think that they would drop everything to prosecute Doc if he were guilty, you're out of your fucking mind. They would absolutely do it because it would be a high-profile case. They would say, this high-profile streamer is a pedophile, and they would go after him, and they would, they'd expose everything. This guy's life would be completely turned upside down. But the problem is that isn't the way it happened. Because I have a feeling that the case isn't as open and shut as people think. I have a feeling that Doc was talking to somebody who was a girl, and he was married, and he shouldn't have been talking to that person. And they weren't 14 or 12 or 10. They probably were about 17. They probably were like 17, the meme, 17 and 6 months, and it was inappropriate. But that person, as Doc said, was within the age of consent. They were too young, but they weren't young enough to hit that threshold of you're a pedophile. And I don't think there was any sexting going on, because if there were, Doc would not have sued Twitch and he would not have won. Anyway, rant over. I know some people will disagree with me on that, but I am absolutely right. I think Doc he basically got pilloried by these freaks at Twitch that wanted to cancel him for his opinions that they disagreed with. So I will never participate in any of that shit. I don't trust the freaks at Twitch as far as I can throw them. And based on some of these people here, I couldn't throw them very far.
Okay. So now Emily, as the CEO, as the new CEO,
Here's a perfect question. I love this question. Why are these old people running a creative platform for people half their age and younger? That is a brilliant question. That is a brilliant question. Why are there a bunch of old hippie communists running Twitch, a bunch of Karens, and a bunch of low testosterone men? Why are they running Twitch? Somebody brings in the Jews. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, I don't know what this has to do with Jews. You're never going to find black leadership in any of the cultural defining spaces, particularly in the tech sector. The best you'll get is the shade room. I don't understand. This is what all leadership teams look like. Bunch of old white dudes keeping mostly young, attractive women with some ugly, like, are we looking at the same thing? Like, this is young and attractive. This is young and attractive. This is young and attractive. No, they're all hogs, or like, no, I don't know. Maybe it's just a camera angle, but that's not what I thought. I wasn't like, look at how attractive these women are. No. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That seems like a no. This is the board that hates me. LMFAO. Oh, that's Zerka. God, that guy's crazy. Grok, is this true? Children of hippies, still fully beholden to the corporate boomer world, but with sandals on and a quirky soundtrack. Yeah, this is very weird. It's very weird. The people there should be ashamed of their performance. They are embarrassing. They should all be fired. Everyone here should be fired, and they should replace them with people who are younger, who understand the creative space. Maybe bring in some content creators that have done this. Not Hassan, not Denims, not Frogan. And really put in a code of conduct and a set of rules, a terms of service that actually reflects a platform that is dedicated towards enforcing the rules evenly. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.